Hey, welcome to the Death of a Dream podcast. You made it. Okay, let's go ahead and start with greatness grounding. This is how we start every day, so if you don't like it, then just leave. If you don't like it, just leave. And that's with everything. If you don't like it, just leave. You don't even have to leave a comment. You don't even have, that's your choice. In life, it's just your choice. Everybody has things to do and say and be a part of, and that's the beauty of the world. You have choices, a lot of them. And so always make the choice to be kind. Always make the choice to just exit. Just leave. It might not be for you. That means it's okay to just exit. Just exit. No comment needed. Okay. So my great thing was really I had for a long time with my kids, with my husband, we would practice greatness grounding at the dinner table or on the car ride or wherever we could fit it in, right? And this weekend, for whatever reason, I also posed the question, and this one was kind of painful for me, but I think it's going to stick. We would say, oh, what great thing happened to you today? Or what do you feel great about today? What was your favorite thing? And then they would respond with, everything or coloring or recess or whatever, right? Fill in the blank. And so this weekend, for some reason, I asked what was the worst part. And it kind of made the table uncomfortable. But my favorite part of that conversation is acknowledging that there's good and bad. And keeping that a part of the conversation, because no matter what, there's always going to be something bad. And for me especially, and also my children who probably carry similar personality characteristics, it's really important to acknowledge the bad, right? Somewhere in the mix of my DNA is this beautiful mix of optimism, of I can't even help it. I can't help but turn, I'll be sitting at a funeral and I'll be like, oh my gosh, this person died. But imagine all of the good that will come out of this. Come on, almost obnoxiously optimistic. And so, right, I'm the protector of these children that I have. And so for me, it's about bringing that into the conversation and making it a comfortable conversation, because I had been doing years of work, avoiding the discomfort of bad days, bad moments, bad anything. And I would just try to cover them all up as if they never existed at all. And because I'm super optimistic, I would also be putting optimistic spins on everything, almost to the point of ruin. So I don't know where asking that question came up, but now my kids have added that into the daily rhetoric. Well, what was great about your day and what was terrible? And I think the best part is then we also start to have those conversations about things that make them uncomfortable, about things that went wrong, right? And we can help heal from that. We can help to come up with solutions for those bad things, but just pretending like it doesn't happen doesn't mean it doesn't happen, right? The world is full of wonder and sunshine and rainbows. There's no doubt. But it's also full of regular, everyday, terrible things that happen. And pretending that the world only exists in the rainbows and sunshine obviously is going to lead you to some weird dysfunctional life, because it's not so. And so that's my great thing. We added in terrible things And that sounds like the complete opposite of a great thing, but I think true to me and the things that I struggle with, it's very important that my kids and me continue to practice seeing both sides of the world and finding ways to navigate both. Because only navigating the one that feels comfortable, the one that feels natural, is going to work us into a one-sided view of the way that things work, right? And so how we started this podcast was like, if you don't like it, just move on. Don't do it. Don't comment. Just scroll past it, right? That's part of this, part of practicing discomfort, part of practicing and understanding where we come from and what makes us tick is in not throwing it all out, right? Like in understanding that there are different ways to view the world, and it's important to bring all of those in. So for us, it'd be easy to be optimistic, but we also need to see things from other points of view because the world works in many different ways, right? And while it is good and beneficial to be able to see the bright side of everything, there's also a dark side, and believing that doesn't exist at the same time is just craziness, right? And it works you into what I worked myself into. This belief that everything was going to be amazing at all times and that there was always going to be this constant stream of winning, of working towards something and winning, of working on something and then having a payout. And the world just doesn't work like that. It's a whole world and whole life of small, seemingly meaningless steps that eventually lead to meaning. Right? And in those steps, you're going to want that big payout and you aren't going to get it. And so it became very apparent to me over the weekend that this is something that we have to add in. We have to embrace that both sides exist, and maybe that opens up conversations even more than what we had before. So that's my great thing. Go ahead and take time for yourself to recognize, yourself for your own greatness. It's so important. It is. Okay. If you don't like it, don't listen to this podcast. Okay. Thanks. And some of you who still listen to this podcast, why? Why are you still here? I'm confused. Okay. There are just some people that it's confusing. Okay, let's keep on going. So today, I think we're titled, You Are the Light at the End of the Tunnel. And how that kind of plays through what we were saying last week and kind of the rhetoric for this week. I think this week so much is about storytelling and owning that moment, owning the being that you are. And it's a continual growth pattern, right? Even this weekend, it was like, oh, we need to add that in because I struggle with that, right? I struggle with seeing the bad, verbalizing the bad, accepting that there is bad, that there are things that just didn't make me happy in a day, and continuing to work through that and not just spinning it so the whole world is wonderful and bright. Sometimes it isn't. And so it's important that we have that conversation as well. And so the fact that you are the light at the end of the tunnel it's just true. You are. There's no one that's going to be standing with that flashlight. And it's like a crazy thing, right? Because here's actually how it works. Here's why You are the light at the end of the tunnel. And I should certainly save this for the end so then you figure out why this is titled this way. And I have to be quite frank, I don't know why I title some of the things the way that I do. And if you knew anything about titling podcasts, you would know that I do it 100% wrong. I should definitely have a hook. I should definitely have a bite way of getting you in here. And part of the creation process is that I just write what I'm feeling in that moment with what makes sense about what I just spoke about. And so generally there is no rhyme or reason other than it relates to what I'm talking about. Not usually so directly that it makes perfect sense, but sometimes in a roundabout way it makes sense. So I'm going to say it anyways because you're here and maybe you want to know. Maybe you clicked on this because you were like, I'm the light at the end of the tunnel? Oh, okay. Let's see what that's about. I don't know. See, and that's not even something you would click on. Come on, sheepers. All right, regardless, you're the light at the end of the tunnel. Here's how that works. Oh, Hannah, that certainly doesn't make any sense. I'm looking for the light at the end of the tunnel. How can I be the light at the end but also be going through the tunnel? As you continue this work, self-discovery work, as you start to change your life, as you start to envelop new habits, as you start to gain strength, you start to shine. And it's slow, right? And it's like you're going towards the end and you start to see this little crack of light. And you're like, whoa, hey, are you? And you look around and there's nobody there. And you just kind of go, are you seeing this? Am I the only? Yeah, you're the only one. Okay. And it's a small little sliver. And as you get closer, it gets bigger. And the closer and closer and closer you get, the light grows. Now, the light doesn't grow because you're at the end shining the light at you. The light grows because the light within you starts to grow. You don't actually need the light at the end of the tunnel because you're growing the light within you as you go through this process, as you grow, as you glow up. Come on. And so the light at the end isn't something to even strive for. Right? It keeps you going because you see that little sliver and you see it getting bigger and bigger. But what you realize when you get to the end of the tunnel is that you were the light all along. Ha! Ding, ding, ding. You've always been the light. You're always propelling forward, chasing that light, but all along it was with you. And so the lightness and the darkness and the complexity that adds to anything really is about moving through your life and continuing to grow and understand yourself, because at the end of the day, you're the light for everything, for everyone, right? And so if you don't know you, if you don't know where you're going, if you're just waiting for someone to shine a light on you, you're going to go down the wrong tunnel. You are the light. You have to chase yourself. And not just chasing what you've been told to chase, chasing what feels good to you, what feels right. Period. Whatever makes you the happiest in this world. Because so many people told me growing up, told a lot of the people I knew growing up, that there was this constant need to make money and that should be the focus. Money is going to make you happy, especially with a middle class upbringing, right? Hopefully some of you can attest to this idea that there was this never-ending call on your life to make money. That's what you were supposed to achieve. That's what you were supposed to go do. You're supposed to get the college degree because that was going to make you money, and money inevitably was going to make you happier than how you grew up. So, go find the job that makes the most money. Or find a job that will make you comfortably happy. Right? And I don't know why I have to be so obnoxious about this. I don't know why I have to speak about this, but I think it's because there's this overwhelming conscience in me that has to come tell people that it isn't like that. And here's how I know. Let me go ahead and tell you all of the wisdom that I've gained in my 32 years here. When I started to look at people who were happy, people who were unhappy, most of the people that I looked around at that were unhappy were chasing and filling with things that didn't really do it for them. That gave them like spurts of happiness, but not an abundance of happiness. And so then I started to look at people who seemed abundantly happy. What did they have? And yes, a lot of those abundantly happy people did have money. But those abundantly happy people were happy even when they didn't have money. And so I kind of stumbled upon this quote from Dave Ramsey, the good worker of all good things in this world. And he had said, money will just make you more of what you already are. And so as I was kind of taking a step back and looking at my life and looking at the life that I was building, I started to realize that the way that we were working our life, the way that we were chasing money endlessly, wasn't making either of us happy. And at the end of the day, it wasn't going to give us any more of what we were looking for in life. We wanted freedom, and we wanted vacations, and we wanted passion and purpose and all of those things. And it seemed like the higher up we kind of worked to get those things, the less time that we had. And so we were exchanging. It was like working with Ursula, for goodness sakes. Here you go. Here's my voice, but I get legs. Yay, right? Here you go. Here's all of my time, but I get money, but I don't have any time to enjoy that money. And so what do you do then? Well, when you have money, but you don't have time to enjoy it, you end up putting that money into a lot of things that are going to get you happiest, fastest. Is that words? Okay. Right? Whatever's going to fill that void as fast as it can. So does it look like eating out 1,000,000 nights a week? Because honestly, your lifestyle can't really coordinate not eating out. Plus, it makes everybody happy. It always tastes good, and it's not a lot of work. Thank the good Lord for eating out. Trust. Okay? Or does it look like buying a whole closet full of clothes one weekend because you just couldn't stop? And maybe, just maybe, if you wear your favorite color Monday, you won't be so depressed at how this job is sucking the very life out of you. But you're making money, right? You're supposed to be happy. And so let's just go ahead and fill your closet with things that will at least mask that you're not happy, because maybe then you'll get compliments from people. And then maybe you'll exist again, right? So yes, please, shopping trips, amen. They can save us all, right? And so that's what having money looked like to me. It fed this need to fill this void, because the thing that I actually wanted wasn't what I was actually spending my time on. I wasn't trying to figure out how to build a life of freedom. I was trying to figure out how to build wealth. Period. Right? How to make more money. That was the only thing that I was focused on. Nothing else. And the whole time, it was like, sort of became this sickness. I know. And all of a sudden I didn't even know who I was showing up as, because it was like, well, I don't know what to ask for anymore. I'm really perfectly happy with my job. I don't see it really going anywhere. This is perfectly good. I guess I should want to make more money. Okay, make more money. And then that's what people would tell me. Well, you should be trying to level up, try to get a management position, try to make more money, try to do that. And it was like, okay. So then I tried that. Okay, just do the next thing. And then the conversations always revolved around money. And I was just like, this just isn't me. This isn't, I'm not about money in that way. Right? And so as I kept hearing myself show up in these conversations, I was like, this isn't even me. Right? And so like I talked about yesterday, it was like, pull yourself completely out. Better understand who you are and how you want to show up in this world. And then maybe we can enter back in there. And luckily we had taken steps towards freedom a long time ago, that when I felt like I needed to take an entire step back, we were okay to do that. Right? And I think I didn't really ever embrace that maybe I was the light, and I've been trying to heal from that for a long time. That maybe the light comes from within, and I know this has all sorts of children Jesus song, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Right? I know. I got it. But truthfully, that's what it is. As you keep doing this, and the more that you focus internally versus externally, and the more that you look at what brings you happiness, what lights you up, the more that you focus on that, and yes, it's going to feel uncomfortable for a little bit because you're going to just go, oh my gosh, I'm totally obsessed with myself. You might be, and you need to be. You are the person. You are the one who runs the narrative. You are the one in the photos. You are the one taking the photos. If you aren't obsessed with your life, then you're doing something wrong. Right? This is the only one that you get. This is it. This is your one shot. This is the one time that you show up. If you can't sit back and go, holy crap, I did everything. I made everything happen. I love this life, the one that I'm living, right? Why do we keep waiting? Why? Why do we go, oh, once I'm making that salary, then once I have the lake house, then once I have that perfect Instagram feed, then no, right now. Then may never happen. And I don't want you to look back and go, if this and this and this hadn't happened, I could have been happy. No. No matter what cards you're dealt. No matter what cards you're dealt. There is a way to find that happiness. Because those cards are specific to you. They're beautiful and wonderfully timed and played out, and somehow, and I know it seems sick, and I know that there's so much sadness and anger and hate in this world, and I know that it hurts. But no matter what, those cards play beautifully into what your purpose in this world is. They do. I promise you. And I know you may not see it yet. And you may be going, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not as deep as I'm supposed to be. But this girl talking about lights in a tunnel really is losing her damn mind. I've never thought that deeply about life. I am promising you. I promise. I really do. I really promise that you are the piece of the puzzle. You are. And you owe it to yourself to live the life that you envision. And if making money isn't what you envision, but you have to because you got to eat and you got to do all the things, I still want you to figure out what makes you happy and do more of that. And it seems too simple, right? But like, even if you get a weekend, even if you start to use some of that PTO, I know, let it go. It'll happen. It's okay. You don't have to be needed by email all the time to feel important. I know it's a hard concept. Trust me. Sunk into a very low place after letting that life go. Let it go and just start experimenting. And it doesn't have to be public and it doesn't have to be anything, right? Just see. I recorded a daily podcast for 3 months before I ever did anything publicly because I really was just testing it. And even after testing for almost a year, I started to wonder, do I even like this? And what I realized is yes. So let's keep going. But that's it. In a nutshell, all of the things that you've went through, all of the things that play into your story, and even if you're not a storyteller like I am, you can still use that to fuel you into this new place. And some of those lessons really are to teach you that it's bigger, right? That there's a higher purpose, that there's a bigger need, that your happiness is the most important thing, period. If you learn nothing else today, that's it. Your happiness. And your happiness is not reliant on anything you can buy in a store, on a spouse, on children, on anything. It's reliant on you. And so once you figure that out, once you start vibing on that level, come on, we can't stop you even if we want to. But a lot of times we look outward and we look to other things. And we wish that we had different stories. And tomorrow I have an Empowering Women Wednesday interview that I'm so psyched to bring to you because, geesh, I love interviewing. And when I started this show, I was like, man, I really like to interview someday. And that just wasn't a reality when I first started. But here we are building up season 2, building up what this looks like, continuing to grow. And the person that I interviewed for tomorrow's, I interviewed her last week. She's got a crazy story. And now that she's on the other side, now that she really sat back and asked the question of what makes her happy, her story is a source of understanding for the work that she does now, right? Is something to pull from that deepens her connection with people, that deepens her connection with the work that she does. And her story's crazy beyond. But how she uses that to do her work today, how she uses that to grow in strength, she can't change that story. And even when she had to tell her kids about her upbringing and about some of the things that she had to heal from, we all have things, right? And so her kids understood and they were like, whatever you need, Mom. Geez, you're a superhero at this point, right? And so many times we just avoid that because it's painful and it hurts. But it can also be the thing that pushes us to do new things, to find new levels of happiness. And so every day I want you to continue to search, continue to grow that light, because that light inside of you is going to be the thing that saves you from the darkness of your tunnel. It is. And you are the saving grace. And so the more that you feed, focus, and grow yourself, the better off you're going to be. And most of that just comes from asking that question of what makes me happy? What makes me the happiest in the world? And then figure out how to do more of that. Shoot, if you're really good, you figure out how to monetize that and only do that. And yes, it's possible. Yes, it's possible. Okay? You owe it to yourself to keep going. Okay? You got this. As always, you're smart, you're strong, you're beautiful. What are you going to do? Change the world.